Manson desperately wanted to get into the rock and roll business.
Welcome to Watch Mojo. And today, we're counting down our picks for the top 20 wild, wacky, and downright disgusting rumors about musicians that were eventually confirmed to be true.
A Brinks truck bringing a little white box in which were, you guessed it, 4 vials of real Kiss blood, which were summarily dumped into some printing ink for the old comic book. Isn't that wonderful?
Number 20. Keith Richards snorted his dad's ashes. Grief affects everyone in different ways. For the legendary Rolling Stones guitarist Keith Richards, his father's death ended up contributing to one of rock and roll's most infamous rumors. As the story goes, Richards mixed his dad's ashes in with that old white powder he used to be so fond of and snorted it up his nose.
I could not resist. I just scooped him up there, took out a straw, see you, Dad. And I did a little line of him. Yeah, I did that.
At first, it just seemed like a classic case of rock star myth-making until Richards himself confirmed that it was true. For a pretty bizarre epilogue to this one, he went on to reveal that he granted his own children permission to do the same to his own ashes one day. Funny how that works, right?
Others, more reasoned thought was ingesting your ancestors has been a very, very, very important thing throughout history. Many ancient cultures do that.
Number 19. Little Richards fired Jimi Hendrix. This one might sound a little confusing on the surface, but hear us out.
All I remember is like getting out of the Army and then trying to get something together, and then I was playing in different groups all over the States, and in Canada, playing behind people.
Jimi Hendrix was already a damn good guitarist by the time 1965 came around, earning a spot in Little Richard's backing band. But there was a problem. Hendrix was clearly a budding superstar. Everything from the way he carried himself to his ability to draw attention on stage didn't sit well with Little Richard. In other words, Jimmy had a habit of upstaging the iconic performer, which is a big no-no when your job is to disappear into the background.
And he's always wanted to be this big star, but I never got a chance to see him after he made it.
Sure enough, Jimmy was ousted from the band shortly after his appointment. And the rest, as they say, is history. Number 18. Van Morrison recorded 30 songs in one day. Want to know how it sounds when a legendary soul singer sings about his desire to purchase a Danish pastry?
You want a Danish? No, I've just eaten.
Well, then you might want to check out the infamous recordings that brought his time with Bang Records to an end. Morrison wanted out of his contract, but owed the label a total of 36 songs. And so, in a truly petulant move, Morrison picked up a terrible-sounding guitar, took to the studio, and made an album off the top of his head in a single day. Obviously, Bang Records listened to them and realized they were totally unreleasable. So, in the grand scheme of things, Van got his way. A year later, he released his masterpiece album, Astro Weeks. Number 17. Graham Parsons' friend stole his dead body. Graham Parsons is a hero of his era, known best for his time with the Byrds and the Flying Burrito Brothers.
Graham Parsons was one of the great lost talents of 60s and 70s American music. But he broke musical boundaries, and today his work is still hugely influential.
Like many musicians who burn bright, his life was cut short due to an overdose at the age of 26. One major rumor that followed his death was that a friend of his stole his body in an attempt to cremate him and spread his ashes at the Joshua Tree National Park. Supposedly, this stemmed from a deal the two of them had made. Turns out, the story is true. His road manager Phil Kaufman and another friend stole the hearse, poured gasoline on the coffin, and set it ablaze.
They kind of felt their obligation to their friend to do what they had to do. And I think Graham probably would have loved the whole idea.
They were fined $750 for their theft, and Parsons was eventually brought to Louisiana. Number 16. David Bowie smuggled illegal substances into rehab for Iggy Pop. The mid-70s were a dark time for rock and roll legends David Bowie and Iggy Pop.
Bowie wanted to clean himself up, And I don't know where you were in that relationship.
Well, also cleaner than before.
Each of them was fighting their own personal battles with substance use disorder, but it was Iggy who checked himself into rehab first. Speaking about that point in his life, he recalled being very worried about Bowie's health and mental states. What we later found out was that the thin white Duke himself was actually visiting Iggy and smuggling substances in for him to take.
It's just interesting that people who make those explorations, if they go through the cusp of those explorations, they do tend to come out the other side, in a way, better people for it, you know.
Eventually, both men cleaned up and achieved sobriety, but they certainly didn't make things easy for themselves. Number 15, Drake having a son. In 2018, when Pusha T released the diss track The Story of Adidon, he revealed to the world that Drake had been hiding the existence of a son he had fathered. Talk about taking a beef to the next level, right?
And my point with that is just saying, we can't even know about something that's like so precious. We can't even know about the kid, right? But we can know about it when you roll it out with your alleged new Adidas deal. You can roll out, that information with a sweatsuit and some sneakers.
Talk about taking a beef to a new level, right? It didn't take long for the media pressure to force an answer out of Drake. Not too long after Push's track dropped, the Canadian rapper confirmed that he had a son named Adonis on his album Scorpion. He also claimed that he wasn't trying to hide his son from the world.
All just like fabricated, so just to make it more interesting. The story is actually not really that interesting. The biggest part of it is that I have a son.
Instead, he was attempting to protect him from all of that attention. With the cat out of the bag, Drake has at least embraced being a bit more open about it all. Number 14. Ozzy Osbourne bit off a bat's head. PETA, look away now. The late, great Ozzy Osbourne certainly had a few wild stories to tell over the course of his career.
You don't look like a madman.
Look in the shoe I am.
Maybe the most famous onstage moment of all came when Ozzy was thrown a live bat by a fan and proceeded to bite its head off. He obviously didn't think it was real, because why would anyone throw an actual bat at a rock star?
Somebody threw a bat on stage, and I thought it was one of these toy bats. So I picked it up, bite the thing's head off, and suddenly everybody's freaking out because it's a real bat.
Either way, the damage was done. He even had to go to get checked for rabies after the show. He spoke candidly about it in the years that followed. But this did become one of the most discussed myths in rock history for a while. Number 13. Van Halen banned brown M&Ms on their tour. On the surface, Van Halen not wanting brown M&Ms anywhere near them backstage sounds like the most rock star diva thing imaginable. After years of the band being ridiculed for such a ridiculous entry on their tour rider, the truth emerged. Removing the brown M&Ms was actually a subtle way for the band to make sure that the organizers of each and every venue they played were being professional. Van Halen had a pretty elaborate stage show at the time with a whole bunch of pyrotechnics, meaning that they couldn't take any chances with mistakes. So if a venue were diligent enough to remove all of the brown M&Ms, they probably had a solid attention to detail. It's kinda genius. Number 12. Axl Rose used real, intimate sounds in his song. Axl Rose is the type of rock star who splits people down the middle.
And when Appetite for Destruction was released in July of '87, it bombarded fans with a brutal sonic diary of 5 musicians hanging on the edge by a thread.
If there's one thing that even his biggest haters can't take away from him, it's that he definitely doesn't care what people think. And so, when Guns N' Roses were in the process of recording the song Rocket Queen, Rose decided to go above and beyond to be as outrageous as possible. What did he come up with? Well, he decided to record the sounds of him getting intimate with his bandmate Steven Adler's girlfriend in the studio and placed the audio right in the middle of the song.
I had no idea that it was going to be rock and roll history, that it was going to be a legendary act.
Yep, you heard us right. They actually added some very risque noises to the track's midsection. Number 11. Mackenzie Phillips's relationship with John Phillips. For many people, it's hard to think about the iconic folk rock vocal group The Mamas and the Papas without their thoughts drifting to the dark backstory that followed their second iteration.
And it was just absolutely upsetting.
When the original lineup disbanded, group leader John Phillips created the new Mamas and the Papas. Initially, it was seen as a success, especially on the touring circuits. But when rumors began to swirl about an inappropriate relationship between Phillips and his daughter Mackenzie, it changed things. Years later, Mackenzie would reveal that she had first taken illegal substances as a child and that her father had been abusing her since she was a teenager, just one night before her wedding to her first husband.
I don't believe he had malicious intent. I believe that he was a man who was ravaged by drugs and alcohol.
Number 10. Prince evangelized door-to-door for Jehovah's Witnesses. For the better part of his remarkable career, Prince was known for defying societal expectations with his brazenly provocative music. For that reason, many were shocked when he decided to become a Jehovah's Witness in 2001. The iconic musician was said to have taken his newfound faith very seriously, and it was once reported that, like many members of the religion, he practiced door-to-door evangelism.
Was honored by members of his religious community at the Jehovah's Witness Kingdom Hall in Minnetonka, Minnesota on Sunday.
While that remained a rumor for years, a Minnesota couple later confirmed that Prince once knocked on their door to proselytize to them. Apparently, the Purple Star would wear disguises and introduce himself as Brother Nelson to evade being recognized. But when you're as famous as Prince, that can be a pretty daunting task. Number 9. Rihanna and A$AP Rocky's relationship. Rumors of a romantic relationship had followed music stars Rihanna and A$AP Rocky for years.
Got a lot of Prada, that Dolce & Gabbana.
The two had been friends for a long time, with A$AP opening for her Diamonds World Tour in 2013, and Rihanna starring in his Fashion Killa music video later that year. The rumors intensified after that, but with both musicians getting romantically involved with other people, they slowly died down.
Rihanna was asked whether she's in love. She replied point blank, "Of course I am."
However, after Rihanna parted ways with her Saudi billionaire boyfriend Hassan Jameel, the gossip mills began churning once again. Their relationship was confirmed in 2021 after A$AP referred to Rihanna as the love of my life in an interview. The couple welcomed their third child together in 2025.
And not long after, a source confessed to ET, Rihanna already wants more, saying, quote, "Rihanna always dreamed of being a mom, and she takes a lot of pride in it. She would love to have more children with A$AP in the future."
Number 8. Nikki Sixx's near-death experience. As the co-founder and bassist of the heavy metal band Motley Crue, Nikki Sixx was a rock music staple throughout the 80s. But at the peak of his career, Sixx struggled with substance use disorder, which gravely affected his personal and professional life. In fact, at one point, it was rumored that the musician had overdosed on heroin and died. This was technically true for 2 minutes.
You see the light? You know, people say they see a light.
I can tell you things I saw.
What'd you say?
That I shouldn't been able to have seen. Like I saw the hotel hallway. I saw the ambulance. I saw the limo that was there.
According to reports, on December 23, 1987, Sixx was rushed to the hospital after overdosing on the substance. He was pronounced clinically dead for 2 minutes before a paramedic pumped him with 2 shots of adrenaline and revived him. The out-of-body experience reportedly inspired Sixx to write the band's 1989 anthem, "Kickstart My Heart." Number 7. Tupac's friends smoked his ashes. The world lost beloved music icon Tupac Shakur on September 13, 1996.
The rapper was shot inside of a BMW while stopped at a red light on Koval and Flamingo. And we all know the story. He then died 6 days later.
The late rapper was reportedly cremated the next day, and there has been so much speculation as to what happened to his ashes. For years, there was a long-standing rumor that members of Tupac's group Outlaws had smoked his ashes to honor him. In 2011, members of the group gave credence to the news by confirming in an interview that they did, in fact, do that.
Is that true? Yeah, it's definitely true.
According to them, they believe the rapper explicitly asked for it in the lyrics of his posthumous song, Black Jesus.
Now, how serious he was about it, we took the shit serious.
Although they claim to have done so in the presence of Tupac's mom, the Shakur family later released a statement denouncing their actions. Number 6. Michael Jackson wrote music for Sonic the Hedgehog 3. The video game Sonic the Hedgehog 3 was released in 1994 to critical and commercial acclaim. While many fans were in awe of the much improved gameplay, some others noticed striking similarities between the music and that of pop music icon Michael Jackson. Jackson's involvement in the Sonic soundtrack remained a rumor for years, until it was seemingly confirmed by one of the game's creators, Yuji Naka, in 2022.
This was never something confirmed by Sega, even though multiple developers and people close to Jackson have said that it's true.
Apparently, Jackson and his team had recorded complete tracks for the soundtrack, but just as production on the game was underway in 1993, the musician was hit with assault allegations. This seems to have played a part in Jackson receiving no credits for his involvement. Number 5. Ozzy Osbourne and the Ants. Heavy metal icon Ozzy Osbourne has admittedly done a lot of outrageous things throughout his long, storied career. But this one takes things to a new level of extreme.
Bark at the moon.
While on his Bark at the Moon tour in 1984, Osbourne stopped over at a Florida hotel alongside opening acts Motley Crue. The story goes that on one particular afternoon, the former Black Sabbath frontman took a straw and snorted a line of ants with it. While this may horrify the average person, it probably won't be much of a surprise to anyone familiar with Osbourne's antics. The rumor was confirmed in the band's autobiography, The Dirt, and depicted in the same titled Netflix film.
You think you're ready for that, man? Do ya? Huh? You think you're ready for that?
Number 4. Kiss inject their blood into comic books. In the 1970s, New York band Kiss took rock music by storm. The original four-man lineup was known for their signature white and black makeup and comic book-style costumes.
I wanna give it all to you.
In 1977, at the height of their popularity, the group teamed up with Marvel's Stan Lee to create a series of Kiss comic books. Seemingly as a marketing ploy, each member of the band was reported to have drawn a bit of their blood, which was then mixed with the printing ink for the comics. Turns out this was in fact true, as confirmed by Kiss founding member Paul Stanley and Lee himself.
I said, you guys are out of your mind. He said, no, it's great. It'll get a lot of publicity.
If that's not the most shock rock-esque thing to ever happen in the comic book universe, we don't know what is. Number 3. Cass Elliot and Keith Moon died in the same apartment. While their paths may never have crossed, Cass Elliot and Keith Moon shared more similarities than they could imagine. Not only were they members of music groups, but they both met their untimely demise at the age 32.
My friend called me to say that Cass Elliot passed away in her sleep. I was stunned.
Even weirder, this reportedly happened at the same apartment, only 4 years apart.
They announced the death of Keith Moon, who died from a drug overdose.
The Mayfair London flat belonged to Harry Nilsson, a singer-songwriter, mutual friend of theirs who was mostly on the road and rented it out to his musician pals. Elliot died there on July 29, 1974, while in London for a concert. 4 years later, Moon moved into the apartment, where he also passed away from a drug overdose.
Of course it's sad, when somebody that huge, that bombastic, that alive is no longer on the planet.
Unsurprisingly, Nilsson moved out of the flat and sold it off. Number 2. Mick Jagger and David Bowie's intimate relationship. Two revered icons, Mick Jagger and David Bowie, are both regarded among the most influential musicians of the 20th century. The two were first linked in the early 70s and soon grew so close that rumors of an intimate relationship between them filled the media. They even released a duet cover of the song Dancing in the Street, which hit number 1 in their home country of the UK. In 2012, journalist Christopher Anderson released a shocking biography of Jagger, in which he seemingly confirms rumors of an affair. According to the book, Bowie's then-wife Angie found both men naked in bed together. While she didn't seem to interrupt anything, Angie was absolutely dead certain something had in fact happened between them.
So we had a lot of fun times, and so it was, nice to remember them.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Charles Manson wrote a song for the Beach Boys. Before he founded and led the infamous Manson family cult, Charles Manson was a struggling musician hoping for a big break.
Manson went to Los Angeles for no purpose other than to become a rock and roll star.
After leaving prison in the late 1960s, Manson made the acquaintance of the Beach Boys drummer Dennis Wilson, who hoped to sign him to a recording contract. Although that never came to fruition, Manson actually wrote a song titled "Cease to Exist" for the band. The lyrics were eventually reworked and released in 1968 as "Never Learn Not to Love." This served as the B-side of their moderately successful single, "Bluebirds Over the Mountain."
The initial idea may have been Charles's, but he had given it to Dennis and been compensated for it. And the Beach Boys were taking it and embellishing it as they do and making it their own.
In the end, Manson received no writing credit for the song, and a little over 2 years later, he was convicted of the Tate and LaBianca murders. What musical rumors do you think deserve a place on our list? Be sure to let us know in the comments.
He wanted to have live sex sounds on a song he was mixing.